Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Monmouth County. I'm the Reverend Dr. Craig Rubano. Whoever you are, whomever you love, however you arrived at this beloved place, you are welcome here. Our mission is to create community, transform ourselves, and transform the world. I draw your attention to the backside of your orders of service for announcements and service information for next week. For those on the live stream and for video viewers, the order of service link is available to you in the YouTube service description box, as is our Share the Plate information for this month. We have an auction announcement. We're just hovering around $17,000 from last night. Molly and Rick won the photo contest. Carol and Tibbetts run the wine raffle. And there are still things there that are ready for you to purchase, including a party at the Kula Center in Asbury Park, a wine tasting, and one vacation home for a week is still up on there. So please go to the raffle. Please go to the raffle. Please go to the auction. I'm actually listening to the service in Mexico currently, so if I seem a little crazier than usual, this is what we need to do. So I'm trying to keep my cool here. I'd love to hear from those of you who would like to participate next week. So it's Mother's Day. We're going to be doing a service about caregivers, all our caregivers. And we'd love to have a few of you talk about a caregiver in your life, a mother, father, grandparent, teacher. I'm pleased that you are here this morning for a truly innovative and powerful demonstration of partnership. Starting out a month when our theme is pluralism, how perfect is it that we are demonstrably many, so many that even national borders cannot contain us this morning. We will be joined in a few moments by the UU Fellowship of San Miguel de Allende, Mexico, a congregation with whom we have been in relationship over the past 2 fiscal years. And this morning we inaugurate a month of Sundays when our Share the Plate recipient will be the Mexican Guanajuato province-based Libros para todos, books for all. So we celebrate the gift of literacy and the worlds that reading a book can open up to a child. Today we will focus our attention on the ways we can partner with one another, bringing greater justice and freedom to our worlds as a result.
Good morning, New Jersey, and bienvenidos a San Miguel. I'm the Reverend Tom Rosiello, minister of the UU Fellowship here, and on behalf of all our members, it's a pleasure to welcome you. Paraphrasing from Psalm 133, how good it is, how lovely this custom of coming together in true community. And today we do this in a way that we have not done before. In fact, we don't think any other UUs have either. Today we're gathering live in two physical locations, 2,500 miles and 2 time zones apart, and across an international boundary, plus with many more from all over the US, Canada, and Mexico, and beyond, joining us via Zoom and YouTube live streaming. And we come together not only to find joy and connection, especially across difference, not only to share in this sacred time of worship, but to partner for justice, focusing on the ways that together we can better live our UU faith and values. To begin, I want to acknowledge that this service took a lot of planning and skill to come together. And I want to express my gratitude to the staff and volunteers at both congregations who have been and are participating in creating this worship experience. It's an honor for me to be in your pulpit virtually in New Jersey this morning, and for all of us here to come to you. And finally, it's equally a joy for me, and I know for our congregation, to welcome back your minister in New Jersey and my friend and colleague, the Reverend Craig Rubano, to share his ministry, his talents, and his spirit with us this morning. Craig?
Muy buenos días. Muy buenos días. Saludos de la Congregación Unitaria Universalista del condado costal más norteño del estado de Nueva Jersey, el condado Monmouth. Nos da mucho gusto estar con ustedes esta mañana, continuando el esfuerzo de asociarnos, creando más justicia en este mundo que compartimos. Y feliz 5 de Mayo. Greetings from the northernmost coastal pocket of New Jersey, from the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Monmouth County. We're grateful to have this time together with you this morning, continuing the effort of partnering for more justice in this world we share. Being in partnership with you has stretched us, opened our eyes to the needs of new to us places in the world. And this morning, we have even tried our hand at some bilingual storytelling, which we'll get to soon. In this service of worship, with worship understood in its original meaning of a shaping concern for all that is of worth, I invite us to lean into our partnership, that we might learn new things, make new relationships, and get to know one another a bit better. Every week, we light a flame in a chalice to signify the sacred space created each time we gather together. Tom?
This morning we're going to light a chalice both here in Mexico and in New Jersey, and Sebastian is going to help me with our chalice lighting words and gestures this morning. This is the chalice lighting we use on our Sunday when our children and youth are with us. The words will appear on the screen in both English and Spanish, as Spanish is the first language of our children, and our religious education program is taught in Spanish. So please join Sebastian and I, come on up Sebastian, in reciting the words that will be on the screen and making the gestures that we ask you to do. We light this chalice to celebrate Unitarian Universalism.
Iluminamos este cáliz para celebrar el unitario universalismo.
This is the place of the open mind.
Este es el lugar de la mente abierta.
This is the place of the helping hands.
Este es el lugar de las manos que ayudan.
This is the place of the loving heart.
Este es un lugar del corazón amoroso.
Together we care for each other, for the earth, and we work for friendship and peace in our world.
Juntos nos cuidamos unos a otros, cuidamos la tierra y trabajamos por la amistad y la paz en nuestro mundo.
I invite all of us in both countries to rise in body and or spirit to sing our opening hymn, number 134 in our gray hymnals. Our world is one world. And I suggested to Mexico that you do your own music, as it's hard to hear the piano from there. Our world is one world, 134.
This is our promise that we aspire to, of how to be in relation to each other and the larger world. I will lead us first in English, and then Diana Amaya will lead us in Spanish. We respect the interdependent web of life and work for a just and peaceful world. We encourage the search for truth and meaning, strive for compassion in our relationships, and seek values that will benefit our lives and the lives of others. This is our covenant.
Respetamos todos los estilos de vida dentro de su red interdependiente y trabajamos por un mundo justo y pacífico. Alentamos la búsqueda de la verdad y la comprensión total. Nos esforzamos por mantener compasión en nuestras relaciones y buscamos valores que beneficien nuestras vidas y las vidas de los demás. Este es nuestro convenio.
This month at our congregation, we celebrate a theme of pluralism, the idea that it is the plurality of us, all our identities, all our religious affiliations, all our sizes and colors and backgrounds, the plurality of us that really matters. We are a synergistic result greater than the sum of our parts. And I thought, that's kind of like a salad, isn't it? Somehow the end result is greater than the individual carrots, lettuce, tomatoes, and more. Well, it turns out someone UUFSMA knows well, Leonora Cohen, wrote a little book about a woman who wanted to create a beautiful salad. Well, as she goes about it, not only a bounty of food results, but a community is forged in the process. And not even her predilection for sampling the radishes gets in the way. The bilingual test helps Mexican students teach them the English words for various vegetables and gardening and cooking techniques. I brought the book to our credentialed director of family ministry, Michelle Mackenzie Creech, and together with some younger folks and some adults, we learned some new Spanish words. The illustrations are by 15-year-old high school student Kelly Hollenbeck. We hope you enjoy our video creation.
I Know an Old Lady Who Wanted Some Salad by Leonora M. Cohen, illustrated by Kelly Hollenbeck.
Conozco una viejecita que quería ensalada.
I know an old lady who wanted some salad, and that is why we're singing this ballad. She wanted some salad and maybe some soup, yummy vegetables to share with the group. A garden was needed, healthy and neat. She decided to grow one for good food to eat.
Conozco a una viejecita que quería ensalada. Es porque cantamos esta balada. Quería ensalada y tal vez una sopa. Compartir con el grupo verdura deliciosa. Un huerto fue necesario, saludable y ordenado, para buena comida siempre cultivado.
With pen, paper, and color that glows, she planned out her garden in gigantic rows. Each vegetable had its own special place, and stood in sun or in shade with plenty of space. She decided to grow one she knew it was good.
Con lápiz, papel y colores brillantes, planeaba el huerto en filas gigantes. Cada verdura tendrá su propio lugar. En el sol o en sombra tenía su hogar. Un huerto con varias verduras bonitas. Decidió cultivarlas, serían muy ricas.
She watered her garden when it didn't rain, and pulled all the weeds again and again. A garden was planted, healthy and neat, a garden to grow lots of good food to eat.
Regó su huerto cuando no llovió y sacó maletas cuantas veces necesitó. Un huerto fue plantado, saludable y ordenado. Para tener mucha buena comida, decidió cultivarlo.
The plants all came up in nice, neat, green rows. She made a big scarecrow to frighten the crows. Each day they got bigger, the plants how they grew. They were ripe, time to harvest, her friends were her crew. Her garden was happy, healthy, and neat. Her efforts were worth it, good food to eat.
En filas verdes y bonitas, las plantas nacieron. Hizo un espantapájaros que a las cuevas espantaron. Cada día más grande, cómo crecían las plantas. Estaban maduras a cosechar con sus amigas. El huerto era feliz, saludable y ordenado. Sus esfuerzos valían. Todo bueno para ser comido.
Day one of the harvest, she swallowed one radish, and I don't know why she swallowed that radish. Wasn't it saddish?
Día 1 de cosecha, se tragó un rábano. Y no sé por qué se tragó este rábano. ¿No fue tristecito?
Day 2 of the harvest, she swallowed 2 onions that burbled and bubbled and tickled her bunions. She swallowed 2 onions to go with the radish, and I don't know why she swallowed the radish. Wasn't it saddish?
Day 3 of the harvest, she swallowed 3 beans. Was she being mean? She swallowed those beans. She swallowed the beans to go with the onions that burbled and bubbled and tickled her bunions. She swallowed the onions to go with the radish. I don't know why she swallowed the radish. Wasn't it saddish? Day 4 of the harvest, she swallowed 4 beets. She swallowed the beets because they were sweet. She swallowed the beets to go with the beans. She swallowed the beans to go with the onions that burbled and bubbled and tickled her bunions. She swallowed the onions to go with the radish, and I don't know why she swallowed the radish. Wasn't it saddish?
Day 5 of the harvest, she swallowed 5 carrots. The vitamins would help her. She liked the carrots. She swallowed the carrots to go with the beets. She swallowed the beets to go with the beans. She swallowed the beans to go with the onions that burbled and bubbled and tickled her bunions. She swallowed the onions to go with the radish, and I don't know why she swallowed the radish. Wasn't it saddish?
Day 6 of the harvest, she swallowed 6 tomatoes. She swallowed tomatoes to go with the potatoes. She swallowed them all to go with the carrots. She swallowed the carrots to go with the beets. She swallowed the beets to go with the beans. She swallowed the beans to go with the onions that burbled and bubbled and tickled her bunions. She swallowed the onions to go with the radish, and I don't know why she swallowed the radish. Wasn't it saddish?
Day 7 of the harvest, she swallowed 7 cucumbers. They grew quickly and long and occurred in great numbers. She swallowed cucumbers to go with tomatoes. She swallowed tomatoes to go with the carrots. She swallowed the carrots to go with the beets. She swallowed the beets to go with the beans. She swallowed the beans to go with the onions that burbled and bubbled and tickled her bunions. She swallowed the onions to go with the radish, and I don't know why she swallowed the radish. Wasn't it saddish?
Day 8 of the harvest, she swallowed some lettuce. The closest to salad I think she would get us. She swallowed the lettuce to go with the cucumbers. She swallowed the cucumbers to go with tomatoes. She swallowed tomatoes to go with the carrots. She swallowed carrots to go with the beets. She swallowed the beets to go with the beans. She swallowed the beans to go with the onions that burbled and bubbled and tickled her bunions. She swallowed the onions to go with the radish, and I don't know why she swallowed the radish. Wasn't it saddish?
Día 8 de cosecha se tragó mucha lechuga, lo más que podía llegar como ensalada. Se tragó mucha lechuga a unir con pepinos. Se tragó los pepinos a unir con jitomates. Se tragó jitomates a unir con zanahorias. Se tragó zanahorias a unir con betabeles. Se tragó betabeles a unir con ejotes. Se tragó los ejotes a unir con cebollas, que borbotaba y cosquillaba las ampollas. Se tragó las cebollas a unir con un rábano, y no sé por qué se tragó este rábano. ¿No fue tristecito?
Digging potatoes and pulling beets, her basket was full of delicious ripe treats. She prepared her veggies, colors yellow, green, red. The raw and the cooked, they danced in her head. Peeling or chopping, cutting, slicing them fine. Baking or boiling, frying, pickling in brine. But salad she wanted, and maybe some soup. She had grown her garden to share with the group.
Sacando las papas y tirando betabeles, su cesta quedó llena de bocados maduras y deseables. Preparó sus verduras amarilla, verde y roja. Las crudas y cocidas bailaron en su cabeza, pelando, picando, cortando trozos muy finos, horneando, o hirviendo, friendo o encurtiendo. Tal vez una sopa y ensalada quería. Compartir con el grupo su huerto crecía.
She filled her wheelbarrow right up to the top and invited her neighbors to a very full pot of rich flavored soup and a platter of salad. So now we all sing our garden ballad. This garden was planted healthy and neat. Now she and her neighbors have great food to eat.
Llenó la carretilla hasta la cima. Invitó a sus vecinos a una olla bien llena de sopa y muy rica y un platón de ensalada. Y ahora cantamos el huerto balada. El huerto fue plantado, ordenado y saludable. Y ella y sus vecinos tienen comida agradable.
On behalf of all our children of every age, thank you, New Jersey, for sharing our own Nora Cohen's wonderful book with all of us. And now from our chalice flame, with the help of their teacher Ann Geyer, our children are going to light their lanterns so that they can carry the flame of our community with them to their class this morning. And as they go, I invite you all here in Mexico as well as in New Jersey to join in singing Go Now in Peace with words that will appear on the screen, first in Spanish and then in English.
We invite you into this time of prayer and meditation as we lift up our joys and our concerns this morning. So, God of our hearts and of many names, Spirit of life, we are thankful this morning for community, for bonds that cross all boundaries that culture would set in place. And this morning, for the miracle of technology that allows for international synchronous fellowship. We pray for those who are ill, for those who are grieving, for those who are afraid, for those who are lonely, that a spirit of unity might bring healing and new relationship. We are grateful for the joy of new opportunities to grow, to learn, to partner, to be expanded, to be changed, transformed. The blessing of coming together is precisely that we might well emerge different from the encounter. Reverend Tom?
In addition to our personal concerns and those within each of our own congregations and communities, we too hold in thought and prayer concerns for our countries and our world. For the people of both Mexico and the United States for whom a presidential election is approaching, may democracy and fairness prevail. We hold the students at universities around the world in our thoughts while we condemn hate speech and threats to Jews, Muslims, and LGBTQ individuals, and at the same time we affirm the free speech rights of protesters and pray they make their voices heard in responsible and non-threatening ways. We pray for women whose rights to make their own reproductive choices and get the health care they need are under attack. We hold in our hearts and prayers all the people who have lost their lives, their loved ones, and been displaced by the unjust and unprovoked war in Ukraine. And finally, we pray for a ceasefire in the Middle East, for the safe return of all hostages, and for the much-needed humanitarian aid to reach the people of Gaza. We pray fervently for a path forward where people can live in safety and in peace. In silence, now let us hold in thought and prayer all the joys, sorrows, concerns spoken in this service today, and the many more held deep in our hearts which remain unspoken this morning, seeking the courage to honestly face our own challenges, the resolve to comfort, support, and help those experiencing difficult times, and the strength to stand for what is right and do the work of justice. Amen. And now I'd like to give a brief introduction to the video you're going to see. Last year, our fellowship created a social justice foundation so we can better do the work of justice here in Mexico. One of the most exciting aspects of creating that foundation was the opportunity it provides to partner with others, especially other UU congregations, to help in this work. One congregation, and that's you folks in Monmouth County, New Jersey, after your minister came and visited and saw the impact of this work, immediately stepped up to the challenge to help. Help with one of our favorite NGOs, Libros para todos. A few months ago, we were honored to receive an invitation to be presenters at this year's UUA General Assembly. The congregation in Monmouth, New Jersey agreed to share their experience as part of that presentation to encourage other UUs to also partner in the work of justice here. We just this past week submitted our video presentation to GA. It's called Partnering for Justice, and as you'll see, one segment of that video highlights the experience of you folks in New Jersey partnering with us. Diego?
I'm the Reverend Dr. Craig Rubano. A year and a half ago, I flew to Mexico at the invitation of the Reverend Tom Rosiello, minister of the UU Fellowship of San Miguel de Allende, UUFSMA. Reverend Tom suggested that my congregation, the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Monmouth County, New Jersey, forge a sibling congregational tie with his in the spirit of the partner churches of old. While I was there, I met with Daniela Franco, the head of an NGO affiliated with UUFSMA, Libros para todos, Books for All, a group of committed people who raise funds to provide books to the children of Guanajuato province. For many, it is the first book they will ever have owned. I thought, why don't I bring this back to New Jersey as a potential partner in justice work? And what an amazing opportunity to involve the children of my congregation. I met with our credentialed director of family ministry.
I'm Michelle Mackenzie Creech. With Reverend Craig's help, we developed bookmarks with bilingual slogans encouraging reading. The kids in our family ministry program colored in the bookmarks and learned about Libros and its work. And our youth partnered with Reverend Craig to present a video story wisdom tale based on Waiting for the Biblio Burro, Esperando el Biblio Burro, inspired by the heroic real-life librarian Luis Soriano, who traveled with a burro mobile library over mountains and valleys to bring literacy and culture to rural Colombia and the children who wait for the burro library. And with Daniela's help, we created UUCMC Supports Libros para Todos, global giving page where we raised a sizable sum of money for their efforts.
Bookmarks in hand, I traveled back to San Miguel, this time with the desire to see the work of Libros with my own eyes. I spent a day accompanying volunteers to a rural elementary school. We read to young kids, teaching them the alphabet, and challenging them to create words, associations, and drawings that reflected their own experience of having heard stories of others different from themselves. Later that day, we traveled to a remote and underused community center where a large room is being turned by Libros into a library for a local village. We delivered a bookcase and filled it with books, and a gorgeous mural was worked on. In the process of the morning, we created community among the volunteers, eating lunch together with tortas cooked for us at a local almacén. And our bookmarks were a big hit. The same kinds of opportunities revealed by supplying a child with a book and the means to discuss it are opened up by partnering together for a common cause. I'm proud of having made a connection between my congregation and an international NGO like Libros para Todos, and with the work that the UU Fellowship of San Miguel does to support Libros and so many other worthy groups. I look forward to to developing this partnership for justice in the years to come.
We are honored to have Susan Neurlist, who's the founder of Libros para Todos, with us here this morning, and Claudia Rodriguez, a very important part of their team, who I understand trains volunteers, runs the summer camp, and leads Big Reads. With us here via Zoom is Daniela Franco, the director of Libros. Claudia is now going to share a few words from Libros with you.
Hola, gracias a todos. Gracias Susan y Rick. Daniela, que nos estás escuchando. Thank you everyone. Thank you for your time and your attention. My name is Claudia Rodriguez, and I have been a member of Libros para Todos and a volunteer from many years ago. I'm also a teacher of a school in San Miguel de Allende. As you know, San Miguel de Allende is more than a just pretty city where people can vacation. If you travel just 10 minutes outside of town, you will find a very different reality. There are villages that don't have paved roads, they don't have access to books, and many children drop out of school after 6th grade. There is a poverty and problems with drugs, and a school that lacks the resources to deal with reading disorders and emotional disorders. The challenges children face are huge. We, at Libros para Todos, we provide communities with reading programs, mobile libraries, workshops for teachers, and summer camps. We believe in the power of books. They feed our creativity and imagination. They show us how to be compassionate to others and help us to feel connected to the world. During these past 10 years, we have worked with thousands of children from poor rural communities and have seen children's faces light up with enthusiasm during our reading campaigns. We bring writers to their communities so that children can imagine themselves as authors and begin to write stories to their own. Y eso es hermoso, cuando llegan los autores a las comunidades y los niños pueden ver que ellos mismos pueden escribir, así como esos escritores que llegan a sus escuelas. I cannot stress how important it is to give children the gifts of literacy and hope in this world. Creativity, connection, and empathy are that this new generation will need to face the challenges ahead. We thank you in New Jersey for parenting with us last year. Estamos muy felices de que el año pasado estuvieron New Jersey, Tom, Craig con nosotros. Hasta un día estuvieron trabajando. We thank because of your help, we were able to complete a rural library providing everything from bookcases to a large wall mural. In fact, we put both Craig and Tom to work one day. And thank you, Tom, and thank you, Craig. If anyone from either the San Miguel de Allende congregation or the Monmouth congregation wish to visit one of our communities, please just tell us, let us know, and we have a Facebook place, and you are welcome. You are always welcome to our communities to see and enjoy how are reading and how they are enjoying the libraries. So So in conclusion, thank you, Unitarians, for your dedication to social justice. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Claudia.
Many of you know that part of my ministry has always been the gift of singing. So I offer a song written in the city of my childhood, Buenos Aires, whose words speak to the fact that liberty is more than freedom. It's about sharing a world and working together, partnering with one another to make it better. Our apologies to the folks in Mexico. You'll hear my voice. You may not hear much of the piano, but just understand we offer this to you as a symbol of our commitment to the goals that we're pursuing together. Libertad no es despertar una mañana sin cadenas, es algo más. Libertad no es poseer las llaves de todas las puertas, es algo más. Libertad no es construirte solitario un mundo aparte, es algo más. Libertad es convivir, decidir, elegir. Libertad es amar, comprender y luchar para que todos tengan libertad. May it be so.
Thank you, Craig, for the gift of music. And it's wonderful to bring our two congregations together this morning in worship and to share this sermon time with you, to partner with you to create the message we want to share. It's a pretty unique thing we're doing, not something we UUs do often enough. Our Unitarian Universalist congregations have a long history of being very independent. Since the Pilgrims landed in Plymouth and spread out through the Northeast U.S., each church established was independent. No faraway bishop told them who they could have for a minister or how to run their congregation. Of course, this was a reaction against the hierarchical authority of the church structure in Europe from which they were fleeing. However, very early on, they realized that perhaps there were times when they should work together. In 1640, churches in the Boston area entered into an agreement with each other. It's called the Cambridge Platform, stating that in times of need, they would come to each other's help. Nonetheless, to this day, even though now united in a democratically run association which provides resources and ways to come together as one, our churches remain very independent of each other. But there's more to the story. As early New England society grew larger, as immigrant labor came into cities like Boston, areas of poverty and other social ills developed. Many of our 19th century reformers as individuals spoke out and acted to try and remedy some of this suffering. Even some churches did. But what became clear was that the task was larger than any one congregation. In Boston in 1826, the Reverend Joseph Tuckerman began a ministry to the poor, to the sick, and the incarcerated, regardless of religious affiliation. In 1834, Boston area Unitarian churches came together to form the Benevolent Fraternity of Unitarian Churches, and each contributed resources to support and expand Tuckerman's ministry. Well, why this little history lesson this morning? To remind us that when we really accomplish things, we do it working together with others as partners. Churches working in partnership with each other for justice makes so much more possible. In spite of all our fiery congregational independent streaks, the practice of partnering is also very much in our DNA. By the way, that organization, the Fraternal Society of Unitarian Universalist Churches, that's now the Unitarian Universalist Urban Ministry, going strong with 61 congregations partnered together.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
It is always good to remember our history. But through the years, it seemingly has been difficult for us to remember that the Cambridge motto was always, right from the beginning, independent congregations working in association. It is so good that we are working together. And the international spirit of what we are doing together recalls to me the spirit of the partner church movement that sprang up in the 1990s, when local U.S. UU congregations partnered with Unitarian churches in Transylvania, mostly Hungarian-speaking, in current-day Romania. When I worked at the Princeton, New Jersey congregation, we would host an occasional visiting Romanian delegation, and we dedicate one Sunday a year to learning the deep history of Unitarianism in post-Reformation Europe. The Partner Church Council at the UUA eventually created relationships with congregations in Hungary, the Czech Republic, the Khasi Hills of India, the Philippines, and Poland. Unfortunately, in 2021, right at the height of the pandemic, a vote was taken to dissolve this wonderful program. I hope some of those relationships will persist. Ironically, it was at that same moment when we here in New Jersey realized that we would be stronger working together. This congregation spurred a consortium of 8 or so New Jersey UU congregations to partner 2 years running, creating joint summer services on video, resources that then were shared in our ministerial cluster. It brought us together in ways that our monthly ministers' meetings could only imagine. What fun it was to work together with colleagues and to see and to learn from other preaching styles and other congregational ways of doing things. This morning we recreate that kind of spirit, but now rather than on a video, we do it live because we've gotten more savvy technologically in the past few years. Congratulations to us. All of us here at UUCMC have profited enormously from the partnership you and I have helped to create, Reverend Tom, over the past 2 years. So much so that we intend to continue this collaboration in the upcoming fiscal year. More adventures to come, and I trust more good delivered to worthy causes across international borders. Yes, Tom?
Makes perfect sense that you folks in New Jersey might ask, why should we help in Mexico? I'm sure that you're a generous congregation and, like most of our congregations, help support, probably both financially and with volunteer time, organizations in your own community that address local needs. And I'm sure you're doing good work. So why partner with a congregation to do the work of justice here in Mexico? Well, I think there are several answers to that question. Here are my top 2. First, as the world gets smaller and smaller, we really are part of the same community. As we sang in our opening hymn, our world is one world. What touches one affects us all. And here's what I mean. I bet if you look at the grocery store there in New Jersey, you'll find that most of the produce that you buy is grown here. And what wasn't was probably harvested by Mexican labor and laborers working in the U.S. So a water shortage in Mexico affects you. Children who need services because their dad has gone to the U.S. to work is partially caused by the U.S. demand. You know, there's a long history of the U.S. taking from Mexico and not giving back very much. As an expat living here in Mexico, welcomed by Mexicans, I think we have an obligation to give back. And second, as Unitarian Universalists, I think we also have an obligation to stand up against rising nationalism, isolationism, and anti-immigrant sentiment in the U.S., especially against Mexicans. We need to show our Mexican neighbors, who we so much depend upon for our food and the labor we need, that many Americans do not accept this misinformed and even hateful view. They need to know that many of us recognize their contributions, respect the beauty of their country and people, and want to help them where we can. Now, of course, my views come from a gringo living most of the time in Mexico. So, Craig, I'd like to hear from you how you see the issue from the other side of the border.
Well, my own view has been shaped from having spent my entire childhood living in South American countries, including several visits to Mexico over the years. I have always been acutely aware of the delicate nature of being a U.S. citizen living in a Latin American country. The history of U.S. intervention in Latin affairs is a rather ugly one. In fact, historians of racism in this country add to our racist genocides of indigenous people and African enslavement a third racist genocide constituted by the attack on developing nations of the world, and in particular those of Latin America, in order to extend and solidify U.S. empire. The waves of migration heading north are the byproduct, in part, of decades of interventionist policies meant to destabilize Latin American governments in order to reap the largest haul of material resources from them at the lowest prices possible. I was inspired, especially since I am bilingual in Spanish, to take you up on your offer, Reverend Tom, to come and learn alongside your congregation and to meet partners in justice with whom your foundation has relationships. The time I got to spend with the volunteers for Libros opened my eyes to the devastating need that exists mere miles from affluence. It's time to counter the rhetoric that would disallow us to work together across cultures and languages and to create relationships of respect. Our affluent society is not only the product of a racist and beautiful history of advantage-taking and attendant violence, but disingenuous fear-mongering conspires to protect our affluence, resulting in racialized disparities in the worldwide distribution of wealth. We need to rediscover the art of giving. Yes, Tom?
It's the 12th century Catholic saint, Francis of Assisi, who said that it is in giving that we receive. That statement is somewhat counterintuitive, isn't it? I mean, but if you're like me, the experiences of life help us discover that it is true, so true. True for us as individuals and collectively true for us as congregations. When I began my ministry 25 years ago at the church in Massachusetts, where I'm currently minister emeritus, I had no idea that they had a partner church in Transylvania. During the period of transition, it had kind of just been lost, forgotten. And surely it was more than a year into my ministry there when someone finally mentioned it. I did some investigation and I found out we had a partner church in the little village of Olastelik. And at about the same time, we received a Christmas card from their minister. Well, we exchanged greetings and began on a path of friendship. Slowly, it emerged that they could really use some help. There were many elderly, women particularly, widows in the congregation, in a place where there was no safety net for them, no pension income. We began a tradition of sending the church money every Christmas to buy all the widows a gift basket full of food supplies that could last months, maybe even the whole year, I'm told. Flour, oil, some canned goods, things like that. Years went by, and we got thank you notes written or translated by their English-speaking minister telling us what a difference we'd made in people's lives. It was a small amount of money, and it didn't seem like we were really doing much. And each year I was invited to Transylvania and asked to bring members of the congregation. Well, about 14 years into my ministry, at the urging of a wonderful intern minister we had who had worked with the Partner Church program, I finally did go, along with about 30 members of the congregation. After some sightseeing tours of wonderful Unitarian sites there, we got to the village. And the next morning I was to preach a sermon through a Hungarian interpreter. Well, I got to the church early with a little trepidation, and I saw the churchyard was being set up for a great feast. Honestly, I felt like our visit probably caused them a lot of expense, and maybe they could have used the money for other things. About an hour before the service, I was told that the elderly women to whom we had given those annual supplies of staples wanted to see me, and they were all now walking from their homes to church, some many miles. They began to come into the church, some with canes. One very wrinkled woman who had walked a great distance, I was told, was 109 years old. One by one, they came up to me, and through the interpreter thanked me for the gift, and they brought me these little breads that they had made with the flour that we gave them, and told me how our gift of food had made their lives so much better. My eyes began to tear up. A lump came into my throat. After all these years of giving to them, I now felt that I and all those who were with me were receiving something very special, a blessing that made those words of that 12th century saint ring so true. When I watched the video of your church in New Jersey talking about your experience, what comes across to me was what you were receiving in your giving. And Craig, I'm sure you can speak more to this.
The bookmarks project for Libros was a wonderful one. We tied our messaging to themes of reading, literacy, and also to the rise in book bannings that is taking hold in many communities across this country, including the very township where our meeting house is located. The bilingual mottos that we created spoke to the passion we had for the task, and also the passions that are launched and supported by access to books. Leer es soñar, to read is to dream. Un libro es un puente, a book is a bridge. Leer es viajar, reading is traveling. And lánzate a la lectura, jump into reading. Through reading, our vistas are expanded. We learn about those different from ourselves. We travel into the imaginations of people across history. We literally equip ourselves to dream about a world different than the one we have. And reading is essentially communal. Someone wrote the book, illustrated the book. We are often reading in tandem with others. And yes, Reverend Tom, in our giving of ourselves to the project of creating the bookmarks, we ourselves embodied what are the three prongs of our congregational mission statement. We created community, we transformed ourselves, and we transformed the world around us. Seeing the smiles on the faces of the kids of Guanajuato province, lifting their bookmarks in the air, using them to mark their places when are likely the first books some of them have ever owned. Yes, we received great joy in knowing that we made a difference. And when I was working on that mural to dedicate a new library center for a village near San Miguel, knowing that the entire library project was completely funded by the generosity of members of my congregation, yes, I received, we all did, through that giving. Tom?
About the opportunities that partnering provides. We partner with the many NGOs we support, with those who deeply understand the issues and know the best approach to address them. And we partner with folks like you in New Jersey and other congregations to exponentially increase the way we can do the much-needed work which we are all called to do. We, your fellow Unitarian Universalists here carefully vet all the organizations so that you know that what you give is wisely spent. In all these partnerships, each party brings something unique and important to the relationship. Just sharing a goal, perhaps to educate children or provide medical care, is not the only thing necessary for a partnership. A good partnership is a profoundly equal relationship where everyone involved brings something and gets something. In the words of the writer Sarah McLean, the best partnerships are not dependent on a mere common goal, but on a shared path of equality, desire, and no small amount of passion. I think we have that. And with that, there really is no limit to the good we can do. Thank you for partnering with us in this work.
I think that's a beautiful sentiment, Reverend Tom. The ways that you have welcomed me into your congregation, the amazingly warm reception so many at UUFSMA gave me during my visits there made a huge impression on me. And the lunch I had with Libros leader Daniela Franco, listening to her passion for bringing books to the kids of Guanajuato, touched my heart. I was also incredibly moved by the generous outpouring of funding that my congregation donated to Libros. I should say the competition over which 10 organizations join our Share the Plate program each year is fierce. That Libros made the cut speaks to the ways that people felt the relationship we brought together. Those photos of the kids speak so much to the magic that can happen when we partner for causes that bring more justice, more freedom, and more joy into people's lives. We're grateful for the careful vetting and the ease with which we were able to transfer the funds. We look forward to making more connections this coming year. And to all of you UUFSMA members in Mexico and around the world right now, thank you for the work that your fellowship and your foundation does in the world. We are proud of you and proud to align ourselves with some of your important ventures. Together we are strong as we create community, transform ourselves, and transform the world. May it continue to be so. And now I invite us all to rise in body and our spirit to sing our closing hymn. For you UCMC folks, number 1018 in our teal hymnals. And for you UFSMA folks, the words will be on your screens, and I believe Malcolm will play. Malcolm's going to play for all of us this time. Excellent. Here we go.
Please be seated. That was exciting. I now invite you to participate in the spiritual practice of generosity. In New Jersey, one half of the collection this Sunday and for the whole month of May will be for the support of Libros para Todos. We're so grateful to you for again joining with our foundation in the ongoing support of this organization. Our fellowship has supported Libros for many years, and in just the last month, our foundation approved another grant to them. The check will be coming out soon. And to that will be added other gifts that were made to the foundation that have been designated specifically for Libros. Here in San Miguel, this Sunday, our offering goes to the much-needed ongoing support of this fellowship. Remember the words of Francis of Assisi. It is in giving that we receive. May you be blessed in your giving. The morning offering will now be gratefully accepted.
I should let our folks in New Jersey know Malcolm Halliday is a world-renowned concert pianist and organist who has taken a day off of his concertizing schedule to be with us this morning. So thank you, Malcolm. And thank you to everyone this morning for your patience. Especially thank you to Steve Miller, Woody Ross, Jennifer Thomas, Bob Kelly here, who made sure the video and sound worked to the best of our abilities, and to Diego Guerrero in Mexico, who made it all much easier than it would have been otherwise. Gracias, Diego. And thank you, UFSMA and Reverend Tom and Malcolm, for your generosity of spirit that allowed all of the ensuing relationships to thrive. It is good to partner, and if it's for greater justice, so much more the powerful. Following our benedictory closing words, our folks can stay seated for a postlude from our music director, Luis Chernosky. I don't think you'll be able to hear it in Mexico, but if not, it's been a beautiful morning. And now, as we go in peace to bless this world, let us hear these words from D. Scott Cooper, Assistant Minister of Congregational Life at First Unitarian Universalist Church of Houston, Texas. The world aches for us to partner together and bring about healing, toil for justice, and produce ever increasing love. This is our calling. Tom?
It has been good to be here. It has been good to be here together. It has been good to be here together, partnering in the work of justice. As we part, we take with us the spirit of this gathering. And though we will extinguish the flame that we kindled at the beginning of our service, the light of love, of service, of justice, that we hold in our hearts, ready to share it with a world so much in need. Thank you for being with us in this truly unique gathering, and may peace be with you this day and forevermore. Amen.